Hello, my name is Nana. I hold a master's degree in business finance, and after reading several books and doing several research, I think these are likely to be the most habits that stand in between people and their financial goals at the end of the year. So, at the beginning of the year, several people go on to have a specific expectation of what their finances should look like at the end of the year. Now, there are several things that are likely to create some form of friction between you and your financial goals. And these, in my opinion, are the 12 most essential out of all the habits that are likely to hold you back from attaining your financial goals. The first and the most important thing that we need to consider when it comes to wealth creation is having a clear set financial goal. Now, this helps you to motivate yourself and, more importantly, stay disciplined towards the attainment of your goals. There are several people out there who start the year without having a written or a clear goal, and this is likely to impact your ability to stay the course and, more importantly, go on to attain your financial goals. Now, anytime you sit down to prepare or to plan towards the attainment of a goal, it becomes nearly 50% easier for you to attain that goal. In fact, research has proven that people that are more likely to attain their goals or that are more likely to achieve whatever they set themselves on to achieve are the people that go on to set those clear goals and then actually go on to write these goals down with a clear plan of action as to how to execute these things. So without further ado, what you may first want to do is pick a notepad, write down every single thing that you want to achieve this year financially. It can be your savings plan, it can be your budget, it can be whatever expenses that, in my opinion, you may not find needful. Now, the ones you go on to write all these things down, it makes it easier for you to stick to the plan of action. Secondly, what you need to know is that you need a budget. Once you go on to draw a budget, it helps you to avoid unnecessary expenses. It helps you to avoid impulse buying. So anytime you go out to shop, you're not going to have to get drawn out of your budget or out of your checklist to buy things that may not necessarily be needed. So what you may want to do is try as much as possible to pay with things either by debit or cash, because more often than not, people tend to shop with their credit card and they don't pay out or they don't offset these amounts at the end of the month, and then they go on to attract interest, and that affects them negatively. So that interest actually accrues, and then the snowballing effect takes them on and then affects their ability to save and their ability to create a financial plan and to stick to that plan. Thirdly, what you need to know is that you need to have an emergency fund. An emergency fund is essential. More often than not, people talk about financial freedom without having to talk about financial stability. Financial stability is the single most important thing when it comes to attaining financial goals. You need to make sure that there's something for you to fall back on at the end of the month. There's something for you to fall back on at the end of the year. What experts usually do advise is that you keep at least 3 to 6 months of your monthly expenses in a budget, in the fund, in order for you to fall back in case of any unforeseen circumstances or in case you need any money urgently for something. So for example, if you're spending £1,000 on a monthly basis to take care of your expenses, then you may need $3,000 at the end of the month or at the end of your period to be able to create that emergency fund. Or you may want to set up a direct debit to charge your bank account anytime you're paid, and this makes it much more easier. Automating these payments makes sure that you don't have the discretion to spend before you actually go on to save. It puts you in a very tight corner for you to stick to that financial budget. Fourthly, what people usually overlook when it comes to their financial goals is they don't educate themselves on financial principles. They don't educate themselves on savings. They don't educate themselves on investment. These are the single most important things that you may have to consider in order to ensure financial stability, as spoken about earlier. You cannot go from point A to point C without going through point B. This is the single most important thing. You need to attain financial stability in the form of investment, in the form of savings, in the form of creating an emergency fund before you go on to purchase or you go on to pursue all those financial goals. It's not easy. It means that you'd have to be more disciplined. It means that you'd have to cut down on unnecessary expenses. But all these things would ensure that at the end of the day, you may be able to save at least between 10 and 20% of your income, and then spend a further 30% on your needs, and then go on to offset your basic needs, which is your fixed monthly expenses in the form of rent, light, heating, or anything, with the remaining 50%. So that is the 50-30-20 rule. Use 50% of your monthly income on things that keep you going, or things that keep you safe, like a roof over your head, like water, like rent, and all these things will fall under the 50% of your monthly income. You use the further 30% to take care of your needs, and the 20% can go into your emergency fund and your savings account. But then also, savings alone or having an emergency fund would not push you towards that financial goal that you want to achieve. So you may want to educate yourself on investment principles. Now, this is where the experts actually come in. Warren Buffett actually says that the biggest return that you can get on any investment is an investment in yourself. So the biggest returns will come from you purchasing books. It will come from you listening to podcasts. It will come from you watching YouTube videos, and then actually going on to make sure that you fortified yourself with the necessary information for you to make all the rightful decisions when it comes to your finances, and then when it comes to attaining the financial goals at the end of the month and at the end of the year. What people usually also do not do is that they do not sit down to overlook whatever they've spent, so they don't know where their money is going. It is incumbent on you to sit down and to go over every single thing that you've spent. These days it's easier because banking apps have got all these features in there where you can go on and then on a weekly basis assess where your money is going, assess how much you paid on transport, how much you paid for groceries, how much you paid for entertainment and leisure and all those things. It's much more easier these days for you to do all these things. Having a fair idea of where your money is going would in return grant you or put you in the best track for you to attain your financial goal at the end of the year. One thing that people also overlook is that they go in or they get dragged into get rich quick schemes, which is also a point that is very necessary for you to consider. So you see several ads scrolling on YouTube, see several ads scrolling on TikTok and all the major platforms that promise X amount of return if you put in X amount of money. Now, what you need to know is that building wealth actually takes time. You're not going to make it overnight. All these millionaires, all these billionaires out there that you see them, they have accumulated all these wealth based on a very long period of time. Warren Buffett started investing when he was 11 years. Today he's 92 or 93, I think, and he's one of the richest people in the world. He's gone on to give massive amounts of money through philanthropy and all that. But what you need to know is that it's taken him at least 8 decades for him to get to where he is today. So building wealth takes time. Don't get dragged into get rich quick schemes only for you to realize at the end of the year that your hard-earned money is gone and then you have nothing to fall back on. Take the time, educate yourself, go in there. There are several apps out there of late that you can go in to actually more or less do a simulation investment. So what you can do is that you can go on Google Play Store, Apple App Store, and then download these apps that can help you to simulate investment. So you put in money that is not real. You can, let's say, choose a couple of stock or just play around with it without putting in real money. And then at the end of the month or at the end of the year, you'd be able to know, if I had put in X amount of money, this is what my returns would have been like, or this is what my losses would have been like. All these things actually help you to prepare you towards the attainment of your financial goal. One thing that you need to know also is that millionaires and billionaires have multiple streams of income. So the average millionaire or the average billionaire you see out there has got about 7 streams of income. And these are streams of income that they are actually not attached to. So aside their 9 to 5, which you may see most of them doing For example, with Elon Musk working on X or working on Tesla, they may actually have several streams of income that may come in the form of passive income streams like real estate investments or several royalties that they get from several assets that they own that also go on to contribute to their monthly or their annual income. That is what you may actually have to sit down to analyze. Only you are the best person to assess what your strengths are and your weaknesses are. Your experiences might be useful to people. You can create value for people by shooting videos on YouTube, helping people, providing solution and value to people, and people would in return appreciate these things, creating a further stream of income through YouTube. Or you may actually go on, for instance, I have got an Amazon FBA business as well on the side that I was actually considering. It's not really gone how I really want it to go, but at least I know that in order for me to get to my financial goal, I also have to make sure that I am not relying solely on my 9 to 5, because that would be very difficult for me to achieve. Having steady streams of income from other sources actually helps you and then pushes you a step further towards the attainment of your financial goals. Sit down, assess your strengths and your weaknesses, look at your experiences, look at every experience that you've gained at the workplace or any talents or skills that might be useful to people, and then just press record, create a YouTube channel, for example, which is the easiest of side hustles, and then record something, put it out there. People might find value. You may actually be granted a YouTube partnership program, and then you earn money from that as well. Lastly, the one thing that I think we have to focus on also when it comes to wealth creation and hitting our financial goals is self-doubt. There's several people out there that don't have confidence that they can't be able to attain as much. Napoleon Hill rightfully says that whatever the mind can conceive and believe, it can achieve. The Bible also goes on to say that as a man thinketh in his heart, so is he. So you are a product of what you think. You are a product of what you conceive in your mind. The body is only an execution tool. So whatever you doubt eventually becomes a reality. Whatever you attract is what you think about and what you actually go on to do. And what you do is a product of what you think. So you might as well get in the right frame of mind. If you really want to build that stream of income, if you really want to get to that level, if you really want to make that extra income, you need to believe in yourself. There are several people out there that may doubt you. It can even be family. It can be your siblings. It can be your friends who will look at you and say, why do you think you'll be able to achieve X amount of money knowing that the inflation rate is X and that interest rates are that? How do you think you'll be able to purchase that extra house when you have X amount of debt, when you have that, when there are several government policies and programs that are meant to hold you in place and make it even more difficult, create further friction for you to achieve all these goals? You need to believe in yourself. You need to look beyond all these emotional hampers. You need to believe that whatever the mind can conceive and believe, it can achieve. All these millionaires and billionaires out there that you see actually believed in themselves. If you watch their interviews, if you watch Elon Musk, if you watch Mark Zuckerberg, if you watch Bill Gates, all of them believed that they would be able to achieve something and that they did possess something that was unique and that they were able to do these things based on the mere fact that they weren't shaken. They have faith in themselves to achieve everything that they set their minds to. Now write down that goal. Make sure that you automate all your contributions. Make sure that your investments are in place. Make sure that you saved, and then make sure that everything that you need to get in the right frame of mind, and then look beyond the storm and the tempest. In my opinion, nothing will stand in between you and your financial goals. I believe in you, and I believe you found interest and found value in this video. Thank you.